What's stranger is why, and the answer isn't really about forgetting at all. Last night, you got into bed, you closed your eyes, then you woke up. Whatever happened in between 8 hours of it, you didn't experience as a fade. There's no blur, no last flickering thought you can reach for. 1 second, you're lying there. The next, it's morning. You've fallen asleep somewhere around 20,000 times in your life, and you have never once caught yourself doing it. That's strange enough on its own. What's stranger is why, and the answer isn't really about forgetting at all. We tend to assume this is a memory issue, like the moment happened, and your brain just misplaced it. That's not quite right. To understand why, you have to look at what your brain is actually doing in its last few minutes awake. And it turns out, those minutes are far more chaotic than getting sleepy. Two systems build across your day. Adenosine, a byproduct of your brain simply being active, accumulates hour by hour, gradually suppressing the systems that keep you alert. And your circadian clock, run by a small structure in the hypothalamus, starts winding down its own alerting signals as night approaches. When those two systems tip far enough, a structure called the thalamus starts to change its behavior. Under normal conditions, the thalamus is a relay station. Everything you see, hear, and feel passes through it on the way to conscious awareness. As you fall asleep, that relay starts shutting off. Incoming sensory information gets cut before it ever reaches the parts of your brain responsible for conscious experience and memory. That's already most of the explanation. You don't remember falling asleep because the recording equipment shuts off before the moment is even over. But it gets stranger than that. In the narrow window between being awake and being asleep, a stage researchers call hypnagogia, your brain does something genuinely strange. The thalamus hasn't fully closed the gate yet, and in that gap, people commonly experience brief, involuntary sensory events, fragments of imagery, a sound that isn't there, a face appearing and dissolving. Some people also experience a sudden sensation of falling, immediately followed by a full-body jolt. It's called a hypnic jerk, and it's extremely common, reported by a majority of people at some point. The exact cause isn't fully settled. One theory suggests it's a misfire, the brain briefly mistaking the muscle relaxation of sleep onset for a loss of balance. Here's the part that matters for our question. Almost none of this gets remembered. Not because it didn't happen, it did, but because the same shutdown process cutting off the thalamus is also disrupting the hippocampus, the structure responsible for turning experience into lasting memory. And here's where the question itself starts to fall apart. Falling asleep isn't a single clean switch. Sleep researchers describe sleep onset as a local process. Different regions of your cortex can shift toward a sleep-like state at different times. One part of your brain can be winding down, while another is still actively processing sound or motion. That means there was never one discrete moment to remember in the first place. By the time the region responsible for laying down memories goes offline, the region that would have registered "this is the moment" has usually already gone quiet too, which leads somewhere a little bigger than biology. Every night, there's a stretch of time where the part of you that would notice your own absence isn't there to notice it. You don't experience the gap as a gap. You experience it as nothing, because noticing requires the very awareness that's switched off. It's not a new observation. Ancient Greek tradition linked sleep and death as brothers, not because sleep was seen as dangerous, but because there's something quietly unsettling about a self that stops every night and picks back up in the morning with no memory of the interruption. So why can't you remember falling asleep? Because in the final minutes before sleep, your brain is dismantling its own ability to record experience, cutting sensory input at the thalamus, shifting the hippocampus away from forming new memories before you're even fully unconscious. And because the transition doesn't happen all at once, there's no single instant left over to remember. You're not failing to hold on to the memory. There was barely a memory to hold. It looks like a gap in the system. It's actually the system doing exactly what it's built to do, prioritizing sleep over documentation. You'll fall asleep thousands more times before the end of your life. You won't remember a single one of them, and somehow that's completely fine.